G'day, Shah here once again with Four Wheels on the Road, helping you get the most out of your time away. Previously we took a look at the initial setup and the synchronization of the Garmin Tread Overland device with all of the apps that are available for it. Today what we're going to do is take a look at all of the settings that you need to get changed before you initially use the device. So let's get Four Wheels on the Road and check it out. Now just to let you know, this setup can be actually done before or after you've synchronized the device with all of the apps that are available for it. What I'm going to do today is I've actually factory reset the Tread and I'm going to set it up from scratch. The first of the settings that I wanted to go through that can be a little bit of a pain when you are driving is the on-road and off-road capability. So when you set your vehicle up in the beginning, if you're setting up a four-wheel drive and you set it up as on-road or off-road capable, most of us do have a four-wheel drive, you'll see a setting here for changing the units. I'm just going to change it to meters quickly, and the Prado is 1.85 across. Now this is where the problems come in. Setting the unit up as a four-wheel drive with high ground clearance is it sets you up on level 3 in terms of the Adventurous routing. Now what that does is gives you more unpaved roads, some curves and some hills, and level 1 for when you're driving on road is the one that you want most of the time. So that's the first setting that you need to actually change. So this is a good time now to take a look at changing the settings for this initial profile. So what we're going to do here is go into Vehicle Profile Car. So we'll take a look under Garmin Adventurous routing here. I've got it currently set to level 1, which we've now changed for the fastest route. If we leave the unit set up as level 3 or level 4, you'll end up, as we have here, on what is a bit of an extreme example, but it is a journey to the Gold Coast. You'll see what it's done is added almost a couple of hours onto our journey. So it's taken us pretty much the scenic route. So all in all, basically leave the unit on level 1 when you're going to be using it in the city, and if you're going touring, change it down to level 3 or level 4 as the case may suit. There's a lot of different places that you can actually change this default setting as well. You can change it when you're setting the unit up. You can change it as we've done here when we're editing, or you can also change it while you are creating a route as well. So there's many different places that you can set it up and many different opportunities you have to change it along the way. So it's quite simple to do, as you'll see here. So to start things off today, firstly we're going to go into the settings menu and take a look at what we need to change there. So going from the top down, the very first thing I'd recommend to do, and I would always say to do, is check for updates. So if you have connected the device up to the Tread app, to Garmin Explore, to Garmin Express, no matter what you've connected it to, I would recommend absolutely, first thing to do is make sure you've always got the latest update of the device. It's better to have the latest update of maps and different settings so that you know that you're up to date with what's going on. Second of all, we're heading down to Vehicle Profile. Now this is what we set up when we initially set the device up. As I mentioned earlier, set that definitely to number 1, first thing I'd recommend. We'll take a look at all of the different other settings here at a later date in terms of changing the vehicle profile. Next of all, we're going to take a look at the route preferences for navigation. So turn-by-turn navigation is generally the best way to go there. So if you were looking at using the unit in a four-wheel drive situation and you just wanted to go straight to your destination, you could change it to straight line, but to be honest, most of the time what we're going to be using the unit for is turn by turn. Off-route recalculation we can use automatically at the moment, that's totally fine. Custom avoidances, we'll take a look at that at a later date, as we will avoidances. The only other things that we really need to take a look at here in terms of changing any settings is travel history, but we'll deal with that at a later date. So next up is map display. This is one of the settings that I would initially go and change myself because I like to have the device a little bit more personalized. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a four-wheel drive with the rooftop tent on it, same as what Maggie is. Just makes it a little bit more personal. It's not something that's completely necessary. All of the rest of what's under map display here in terms of changing settings is completely preferential for yourself. We'll take a look at a later date on enabling different layers and changing all of the settings here in map display. One thing that I would do immediately though is change from miles to kilometers, because the unit is set up as an American standard. So that's the next of our settings we would change immediately. Wireless networks is next down on the list. If you've set the device up to be used at home, or if you wanted to update and synchronize the device from home, you can set that up. I've done a bit of a look at this previously. If you want to take a look at that, I'll put a link for you in the top right hand side of your screen. It's not too complicated of a setup to do. It's pretty easy to do. The next of your settings that you should get straight onto setting up is going into your settings here and into driver assistance. This is something that was a little bit of an annoyance for me the first sort of week that I was using the device. It's set up with most of the driver alerts on by default here. These can be a bit of a pain if you're not used to having a device constantly beeping at you every time something happens. Sometimes you don't need to know that there's a school zone or a construction zone or even things like curves. So what I've been doing is leaving at the moment just the one driver alert on, which is speed limit exceeded, because I like to know that I've crept above the speed limit. But you do have quite a lot of settings that are available here: animal crossings, railroad crossings, schools, curves, lane closures, etc. But that's the thing that I would get straight onto before anything else as well. Traffic is not something we really need to look at this stage. Now, in terms of the device settings here, again, we'll take a look at this at a later date. Sounds and notifications, apps, storage and USB, it's all things that are actually quite personal to yourself, and you don't really need to tweak any of those before you get the unit straight on the road. The next setting down the list is the personal setting. Again, that's something we really don't need to change at this stage. There's nothing that really needs to be set immediately from this particular menu. Next down is the system menu. If you've synchronized with your PC or if you've synchronized through Tread, all of this will actually be set up, so you won't need to change anything. So that should be fine to go as it is at the moment. And then next down we have about the device. So again, there's nothing we really need to change there. Everything is totally fine. The next of the settings that I changed is something that may or may not be important for you, but is quite important if you have a use for it. And that's the bird's eye direct. So the way to get into that is in through the apps here. You'll see up the top here I've got navigation to start, adventure next, and then tools. So what we're actually looking for is under the adventure tab, and we're looking for bird's eye direct, which is there. Now what this does is it gives you a download source for all of your bird's eye direct maps. Now I've actually already downloaded these. This is what you would do when you would set the device up. You would choose which of these to download. Now I've already contacted Garmin about this. There is a bit of a problem with the manual, so your manual may actually seem like bird's eye direct maps don't download, but they do. You'll find them here under this particular menu, so you'll know where they are. What I've actually done, which is a little bit of a different way to do it and a little bit of a way around the problem, is I went through and manually edited the name of the map. And what I did is traced on the map where the map detail goes to and from. So what these bird's eye views actually do, you'll see here there's a distinct line. So this bird's eye view provides you with in-depth details of the streets, and you'll see as I'm focusing in here, there's a very, very distinct difference between the views that you can get. One view you'll have here will give you terrain information and street names and street views, and the other one will be a lot less detail. So I've gone through and renamed all of mine, and the Queensland ones, if you're in Queensland, are right down the bottom of the list, but all of the Bird's Eye Direct maps for the rest of Australia are all there. I've downloaded them just in case, because I've actually, been to South Australia and the Northern Territory before, so I figure I'll need those maps at some stage, so I'll just download them. And this thing's got tons of space, so you don't really need to worry about the space to download them. So that's the next thing that I'd actually change immediately as well. The next thing I would actually change before actually getting on the road is changing and adding a home address. It's something you'll actually use a lot more than you think you would. So you can find that by going to where to, or going to a search. I'm actually going to select go home. There's a couple of different ways I can do that. Recently found current location, so you don't have to actually manually add it in, or you can manually add in your address there. So that's the next thing I would add in terms of must do things before you get on the road. Alright, well that's going to wrap things up for us this week. I hope that's given you a bit better of an idea on a few of the settings that you should get tweaked before you get on the road with the Garmin Tread Overland. Next time we catch up, we're going to take a look at planning a route. Once again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time we get 4 wheels on the road.